Most stories start at the beginning, but this one begins centuries after the end. Arneytown, New Jersey is a quiet, small town on the edge of the Pine Barrens. It is impossible to imagine that from 1775 to 1783, the area was locked in a heated battle between British Loyalists and American Patriots during the Revolutionary War. At the same time, New Jersey experienced a civil war in which the state was bitterly divided. There were even two governors: British appointed William Franklin, son of Benjamin Franklin, and Patriot Governor William Livingston. During this time, Loyalists attacked and privateered Patriots, Patriots attacked and privateered Loyalists, some Quakers who attempted to remain neutral were often caught in the crossfire, while others became known as fighting Quakers by joining in the conflict. The Pine Barrens of Monmouth, Burlington, and Ocean counties were ground zero for this form of the war, as they were the hub for illegal trading with British-held New York and housed many Loyalists, while Patriots engaged in successful privateering. Governor Franklin helped found the Board of Associated Loyalists, which was sanctioned by King Charles to interfere with coastal trading and privateering of the rebellious colonies. As a result, guerrilla gangs, outlaws, and the notorious pine robbers plagued the area with fear and outnumbered the Patriots, who were vulnerable to their attacks. The infamous pine robbers were led by Captain John Bacon, who was reportedly personally selected by Franklin. While no one knows for sure how Bacon became known as captain with the available records, some rumor it was a title granted by Franklin for his position. However, others suggest it may be self-granted or more of an honorary title rather than bestowed. Regardless, Bacon was a man who contributed greatly to an atmosphere of terror and living on the edge. While some, especially Quakers, considered Bacon to be one of the most honorable partisan leaders opposing the Americans because he generally targeted known Patriot militiamen, he was more commonly described as second to the Jersey Devil, earning the nicknames of Bloody John, Pickarooning Tory, Banditti of Robbers, the Refugees, Robin Hood, Pirates, among others. He is a sharp contrast to the peace and beauty of modern-day Arneytown, where it is said he lies in a Quaker cemetery, unbeknownst to many. Now you may be asking, who was John Bacon, and what did he do to earn this reputation? This is a question that continues to plague historians. Like many guerrilla warriors and privateer loyalists who stalked the region, Bacon's life is shrouded in mystery, with biased records, a lack of documentation, and many accounts of him based on word of mouth. There are no known official records of his parents, his birth, age, siblings, wife, and children, and minimal information about his life before the Revolutionary War. Through historical accounts, it is noted Bacon had a wife and two sons, named Jesse and Edward, who are reported to live in the Pemberton area, and a brother near Arneytown. Considering he was buried in a Quaker cemetery, it is likely Bacon was a Quaker, which was a common religion in the area. Prior to the war, he worked in Manahawkin for Silas Crane as a shingler and built boats for Joseph Soper. But it was not until 1775, when he was sued in Monmouth County for debt by Joseph Soper, that he made his first appearance in public records, coinciding with the start of the Revolutionary War. Bacon does not reappear again until 1779, leaving a 4-year gap of more mystery of his whereabouts and actions as the war raged on. Until this point, he appears to be an average person living an ordinary life with little known to society and history. His resurfacing in 1779 was when he reportedly attacked guards on a beach ship on Long Beach Island. In 1780, he was charged by the Monmouth County Grand Jury as voluntarily and unlawfully entering enemy-held New York, a common charge against Loyalists. At this time, he lived in Stafford Township working as a farmer and shingle maker. While Bacon is not explicitly identified in the following events, they bear his signature and he could have been among the groups. Between August and December of 1780, Governor Livingston was notified by Chief Justice David Beasley of rumors that a group of Loyalists were waiting on the edge of the pines to break out prisoners from the Burlington County Jail, and later Monmouth County Jail. This led to an increase in guards. Shortly after December 1780, the prominent families of Shreve and Newbold were robbed by four armed men in Springfield, Burlington County. The men were pursued by Colonel William Shreve, who managed to capture one of them and recover most of the stolen items. These robberies created Bacon's primary nemesis and adversary in the Shreve family. Captain Richard Shreve's Burlington County Light Horse Militia Unit and Captain Edward Thomas's detachment of the Mansfield Militia had the sole purpose of scouring the pines for Bacon. But the Patriots lacked control over the area, and the illegal operation of trading with New York was prevalent along the shore of the Pinelands, since locals could fetch a higher price from the British. On December 20th, 1780, 3 men were preparing to return from New York to Egg Harbor Township after selling provisions. Bacon reportedly asked or possibly demanded transportation to Dover Township, to which the men agreed. As they approached Cranberry Inlet off the coast of Toms River, where modern-day Ortley Beach is located, Lieutenant Joshua Stutson, a prominent Patriot military man and member of the Monmouth County Committee of Retaliation, stood in his boat and demanded their surrender. As the story goes, the 3 men supported the idea of surrendering. However, Bacon, who Stetson could not see, stood and fired, killing him. Bacon and the 3 men escaped in the dark. The 3 men feared the Patriots' response to their involvement and went to New York, where they were forced to serve as loyalists until it was safe to desert their posts and return to New Jersey. While Bacon appears as the aggressor in this version of the story, some say it was actually Stutson, since America and Great Britain were in negotiation talks for peace. After Stutson's murder, Monmouth County charged Bacon in July 1780 with falsely and traitorously preparing, ordering, waging, and levying a public and cruel war against the state of New Jersey, and that he assisted and supported British troops. He was indicted again in January 1781 with an unspecified charge, which was likely related to going behind enemy lines. Between May and December of 1781, the number of people affected by Bacon increased. While there are accounts of women being killed and harmed by other pine robbers, Bacon is not mentioned as being involved in these encounters, despite his violent reputation. On the contrary, women were often left home, as they were spared and their presence deterred the robbers from burning down the house after pickarooning. Other incidents include Samuel Bigelow, whose home was robbed of many small items and supplies while Mrs. Bigelow was home. She later testified one of the bandits was John Bacon. John Harris was ambushed by Bacon and 4 others in a remote area of the Pine Barrens. They stole his borrowed team of 5 horses and took them to New York, since the owner was a known member of the Whig Party, which contributed to the ideology that led to the Revolutionary War. At a mill near Forked River, John Holmes's house was plundered by Bacon and his gang. John and William Price, who were known patriots, had their house plundered. Captain Reuben Randolph escaped after being tied to a tree and left in a swamp. Silas Crane, who formerly employed Bacon, was shot trying to escape his home when he saw the gang approaching. Joseph and Reuben Soper, who also employed Bacon and later sued him, experienced his harassment and night attacks so frequently that they often slept in a swamp off Leoshel Creek near their Soper Landing home. But Bacon was not done yet. A rumor spread around the town of Manahawkin on December 30th, 1781, that Bacon and his gang intended to plunder and rob the town. Captain Reuben Randolph, a prominent Patriot figure in the area, quickly assembled some local militia from his inn and posted them on watch around the edge of town. In the early morning on December 31st, it was believed to be a false alarm, since Bacon had not shown. However, around dawn, the Patriot soldiers posted near the Old Baptist Church heard a large party approaching from the north in the direction of Barnegat.
They sounded the alarm, but it was too late, and Bacon was already upon them.
Linus Pangborn was shot and killed, while Sylvester Tilton was seriously wounded. Unintimidated by the militia, Bacon and his crew passed through the town to West Creek. As the body count grew from encounters with Bacon, so did his reputation as Bloody John. Later that month, Bacon was arrested around February 1782 with charges of murder and high treason, issued by the Monmouth County Court of Over and Terminer. He was likely taken to the Monmouth County Courthouse Jail, where a letter from David Foreman orders the sheriff of Monmouth County to keep a close eye on Bacon and ensure his captivity so he can answer to his several serious charges. It is unclear how long Bacon was in custody, but by late summer 1782, he escaped and was back to his normal activities. James Woodman of Dover was robbed by the Pine robbers. Although it is again unclear if Bacon was present for this instance, he was among 3 who stole a large sum of public money at night from the house of Thomas Fenimore, who was the Burlington County collector. His comrades in this escapade included Ichabod Johnson, his partner in crime, and Job Atkinson. On September 2nd, a Patriot captain, John Davis, attacked a boat full of refugees in Little Egg Harbor, shooting and drowning 14. 4 refugees escaped, and it is indicated Bacon was among them. Around the same time, Bacon and his men attacked the militia at Wading River Bridge. Bacon appears to have run an operation similar to the Underground Railroad in the Pine Barrens for wanted loyalists. On September 22, 1782, a man emerged from the woods in New Mills, or modern-day Pemberton. He was shot and captured, but before he died, he claimed to be a Loyalist prisoner who escaped from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Given it was a full moon, which is when Bacon usually operated, and he was reportedly in the area, the locals believed the man to be a spy for Bacon. Captain Richard Shreve with the Burlington County Light Horse was in hot pursuit. Guided by informants, they checked the area of Clamtown, or modern-day Tuckerton, on October 8, 1782, but once again failed to capture Bacon, who remained elusive. If the Patriots thought Bacon was an outlaw and criminal before, he was about to seal his fate in history as Bloody John Bacon. In October 1782, a British privateer captured a ship carrying almost $23,000 worth of supplies that was traveling from Belgium to the West Indies. The ship ran aground on October 22nd at the northern end of Long Beach Island, a desolate barrier island at the time. The Patriot captain Andrew Steelman and his crew sailed their ship, the Alligator, to privateer the stranded vessel, filled with valuable items. With the assistance of locals, they unloaded the cargo onto the beach before building fires and preparing to spend the night. Bacon learned of Steelman's activities from one of his many informants, William Wilson. He sailed in his boat, the Hero's Revenge, along with 9 Tories, to where the Patriots were staying. While what happened next varies between some sources, the following version is the most widely accepted and documented in multiple records. Captain Steelman did not post any men on watch that fateful night. Bacon and his crew stabbed or shot the sleeping men, totaling between 17 and 21 fatalities, including Steelman, Reuben Soper, and most of the others, while seriously wounding the few survivors, some of whom would never recover, like Lieutenant Skull. Some accounts place Hezekiah and Joseph Soper among the group of Patriots unloading the ship, but they were not present for the massacre as they had gone to fetch water. Bacon reportedly sent the few wounded survivors to a doctor instead of capturing them, but other accounts rumored hearing the injured screaming from the beach. Bacon stole and sold the supplies and the Alligator to the British in New York. At this time, America and Great Britain were engaged in peace talks, and therefore it was expected aggression should halt, leading Bacon to be condemned by both sides. The Barnegat Light Horse was once again in pursuit, this time at Waretown, while a group of Gloucester County militia traveled to Barnegat and were guided to the home of Bacon's father-in-law. While they did not find Bacon, they found his father-in-law's home full of British merchants. In December, Governor Livingston issued a delayed proclamation for the attack on the county clerk, placing rewards for the conviction of Bacon and 2 of his accomplices. At the end of December 1782, under the command of Lieutenant Benjamin Shreve, 18 from the Burlington County Light Horse joined with Captain Edward Thomas's Mansfield Township militia in their search for Bacon. Yet again, he was not where they were informed. Upon their return to Monmouth County, they stopped at a tavern near Cedar Creek Bridge on December 27th.
bunch of Patriots were staying at the tavern, which was right over here. They were on their way out, they were leaving, and that's when they saw John Bacon coming across what used to be the Cedar Bridge. And they confronted each other. They fired at each other across the way, and the reason we actually have an idea of where everybody was, relatively speaking, is because we found the round balls that they fired. That was what the ammo was that was in the muskets at the time. Some of them were found right around this area. This tree wasn't here at the time, but this was still the spot where they were. And across the way, right over by the bridge, that's where we found some more. There were loyalists, besides the militia, on John Bacon's side, that actually came to his aid during the fight, and we believe that some of them came right from the tavern, because if we're talking really, really local, they were loyalists as well, and they would want to help him out.
Benjamin Shreve charged on horseback across the bridge and through the Loyalist group, with his horse shot in the neck and a broken pistol, only to discover his men did not follow. While he was returning to his men through the pines, some of the militia continued to fight, but they quickly fell back. Bacon did not pursue, but instead escaped with his surviving men. It was reported Bacon was injured along with many of his men, and Ichabod Johnson was killed. Among the Patriots, William Cook Jr. was killed, Robert Reckless was seriously injured and later succumbed to his injuries, while several others were injured.
In the grand scheme of the war, even though this was the last battle, the serious impact was kind of minute. But for John Bacon personally, it was really the beginning of the end.
Lieutenant Benjamin Shreve immediately returned to Springfield for reinforcements to protect their wounded at the tavern. He later discovered he was seriously injured and returned to Springfield. On December 28th, Colonel Israel Shreve, Benjamin's uncle, informed Governor Livingston of threats from Bacon along the coast and called for the Monmouth County militia to join in the search to find Bacon, after criticizing their inaction. He stated people were daily joining the infernal gang, with complete disarmament being the only way to end the pine robbers. Colonel Shreve formed 3 groups to scout the area for suspects. They captured a man by the name of Thomas Bird. He was a significant individual in Bacon's gang and a notorious criminal in the region. He was supposed to lead the militia to Bacon's hideout, but attempted to escape and was shot. While tending to his wound, they discovered he was recently shot in the back, to which he confessed being involved in the Cedar Bridge skirmish. Meanwhile, Shreve continued to Clamtown. This militia group arrested Joe Crummell. Crummell transported Bacon and his wounded to a swamp near Manahawkin. After hearing a group of bandits robbed a man and plundered a brig, Colonel Shreve headed in that direction, discovering the marks of crutches in the sand. But they were too late and the group escaped by boat. Bacon once again slipped through Shreve's grasp, hiding out in New York to heal, where his version of the events were printed in Loyalist newspapers. The Shreves and many others remained on the hunt for Bacon, but little was heard of him. On February 4th, 1783, Britain declared a cessation of hostilities. Time was running out to get Bacon, as the Patriots waited for the official declaration of peace from America and New Jersey. Joel Cook, who is related to William Cook, killed at the Cedar Bridge Tavern, wanted revenge. He approached Captain John Stewart of Arneytown, and they formed a patrol with 5 others to hunt down Bacon. While there are varying accounts of some of the details regarding Bacon's last stand, the key facts remain the same. On April 3, 1783, Bacon was recognized while stealing goods from a shipwreck on Long Beach Island. That night, Cook and Stewart's patrol group arrived in the area, and Thomas Smith, who was ahead of the group, discovered Bacon alone at William Rose's public house in West Creek. Bacon's accomplices were likely killed, arrested, or fled this late in the war. Surrounding the building, Stewart peered through a window and saw Bacon sitting at a table with his gun between his knees. Charging in, Stewart aimed his musket at Bacon and demanded his surrender. Bacon attempted to aim his musket at Stewart, who wrestled him to the ground, at which time Bacon surrendered. Holding on to Bacon, Stewart rose to his feet, supposedly with his back to the door, which Joel Cook entered through. Cook stabbed Bacon with the bayonet unbeknownst to Stewart and the other members of the group. Bacon appeared faint, and fell to the floor, at which time Cook left the cabin. Suddenly, recovering and jumping to his feet, Bacon knocked Stewart down and ran for the back door. But Stewart pushed a table in front of the door, which Bacon shoved aside. Once again, back on his feet, Stewart shot Bacon, killing him instantly. This bullet went through the door and injured Cook on the other side. The patrol tossed Bacon's body into a wagon and began the journey to Jacobstown and Arnie's Mount, where they intended to bury his body beneath the intersection of the public highway, so his soul would have no rest. Bacon's body was paraded through the street of Manahawkin, where he was reportedly filled with demon rum. Along the way, a dispute occurred between Cook and the other soldiers over the number and type of wounds Bacon had, as they did not believe he was stabbed. They stopped at Mount Misery to examine his body, where it was discovered he had a bullet and stab wounds. As the procession approached the town, news of Bacon's death spread, and the neighborhood came to life. Farmers stopped working, and the Shreve family left dinner, except for Benjamin, who was confined to his room, recovering from his injuries at the Cedar Bridge skirmish. By the time Bacon's body arrived, a large crowd had gathered. They watched as his body was being lowered beneath the street when his unnamed brother, and some accounts mention his widow, arrived and pleaded for his body for private burial. Historical records describe Bacon's brother, wife, and sons as respected, likely contributing to their success in obtaining his body. The Patriots relented and turned over the body. A shirt Bacon stole from Joseph Soper's home was reportedly used as his winding sheet, or burial cloth. It is said Bacon was buried on the edge of the Upper Freehold Township Friends Burial Ground in Arnietown. However, there is a lack of documentation to confirm this. This location later became known as Bacon's grave and was a local reference point, but this reputation has since faded. In the 1900s, this cemetery was in the town Cowpen, overgrown with grass. While Bacon was saved from being buried beneath the intersection in Arnie's Mount, some accounts say the road beside the Arnietown Cemetery was widened in later years, and Bacon still ended up beneath the street. On April 9, 1783, the New Jersey Gazette reported Bacon's death, describing him as infamous, murdering good citizens and plundering defenseless families. Immediately above this notice, they urged anyone who actively assisted the British to leave America because nothing could save them from retaliation. Hundreds of loyalists from New Jersey would flee to Canada and elsewhere. On April 14th, 11 days after Bacon's death, Governor Livingston officially declared a cessation of hostilities, making Bacon the last recorded casualty of the Revolutionary War. But Bacon's reign left a lasting impact of fear in the locals and physical injuries to some of those who survived their encounters with him. In 1831, New Jersey passed a Special Relief Act for John Salter, who struggled to find stable work in the tri-state area after suffering a debilitating injury from Bacon and the Pine Robbers. Today, it is still easy to imagine Bacon and his gang lurking among the shadows of the dense forests of the Pine Barrens. Relics and landmarks of the Revolutionary War and Captain John Bacon are scattered throughout Ocean County, acting as a reminder of the once violent, guerrilla-style warfare in a divided state. While some argue Bacon was a loyalist and privateer acting legitimately in the name of Great Britain, others believe he was an opportunistic criminal who was taking advantage of the lawlessness and chaos of the war. And some say he was both, a loyalist who sometimes went too far. So who was the real John Bacon? We'll likely never know.